I will now let people coming in. Würde der Dolmetscher jetzt auch starten? Sind sie alle drin? Mhm.
Should we have a Chinese room?
Ja, okay. Wo ist er? Ich hatte ihn schon drin. Ach, du grüne Neune. Das ist so rausgefallen.
Ich weiß nicht, wie er heißt.
Gavakir, ich hab's schon.
Ja.
Tippe. Chinese. Now you should be in again, right? Okay. Ich weiß es nicht. Nee, das stimmt. Die Anne-Elke kommt nicht rein. Mhm.
Ja.
Mhm.
Sonam? Ich würde. Sonam?
Mhm.
I think we will start now. On behalf of the Milarepa Center, I would like to welcome Khenchen Nyima Gyaltsen Rinpoche very heartily. We feel most grateful to receive teachings on the Sutra, the King of Samadhis. As I have heard, it is very unusual to receive teachings on sutras. All the more, we are very, very grateful for this exceptional opportunity with Khenchen Nyima Gyaltsen Rinpoche And we look very much forward for the next 2.5 months of this precious teachings. I also would like to welcome very warmly the Rinpoches, Tulkus, Drupons, Khenpos, Khenmas, and all the ordained around the world. My warm wishes and welcome goes also to our translators, Katrin, Virginia, Sonam, and Punsok, and to the Sangha all around the world. Enjoy these wonderful teachings. Thank you very much.
Khenchen Nyima Gyaltsen Rinpoche Chola Milarepa Chutso ne Ning Takpa ne Samde Tashidale Shugio Ngatso Tsamala Tinge Zingyabo Gito Chuti Ninyala Hachang Gato Chimpojung Sanjay Gito Rangla In the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until awakening through the merit of practicing generosity and the other paramitas. May I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of sentient beings.
Dunge mebe dewa dhamendra vara juru je niren chada nida charve danyam la nebra juru je.
May sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be freed from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from suffering.
Namo nasi namda ke lama lai nasi shijin sun chunpambu kamson yonjun du surwan de kurwa tongju su shinje lup je yin nuru zuge jen masam jume jarwe to chenpe yi shen adan den tsewe dani kadinji Drawa jumze rinpo che dasim nye je ngane surwan de chunye je ngandu shenje simde ne jime namdan de londe chugu dobra shenje lo sa je buju chushen medor Rava lingye nide jemban de sanje shingla megde purva ye drugu namda shendu jembar sho chanze wadan chuchi Xiaoba tan jesu ye rang gujen surwa ye gewa chungze dage jesa tamche zobe chanchu chermo Samje namje samba tang lo ye che ra che dar che chong de mo te ba ye chu jen ko lo ko do so
Namo to the Guru, the complete purity of phenomenal existence.
Xiang kurwe jamson je so rong xiang gara gawa le drawran je be ka ju ram ba chi ju ba nambra ta be jen jen chen lab ji chu chen je so xian be yin de se me xi ma lam ja che wa yin rong wa len jen de be du ju chen ma me be lam ma tham ba nang la chan ze xian chu de je so che wa jen je la bran ze de so do ji chang wang de lo na ro da Garden some dance away, La Mesha, the Julama, Yedam Juzon, La Sorvan de Zoda, Juchinjelo, Chinzinga, Dumbo, Sanje, Kandruman, Barden Lamaresh, Tujiran Shantarve, Lam, Dumbo, Yonzen, Shinin, La Gujan, La Memam, J. Wombo, Yelina, So Chuji, Chola, Chawa, Jeban. Sanje sonra rabde shishen dewe juru jurwa tedan cheche tambe chunin baryandre she she. yeah. 하테네 토마르 당도 추 셰바단 년바 다 감태식 지기요나야 된텔라 다 조고 추순 로다 맨로스야 대조 군홍돈 성당구로와 대행도 전에 나랑 쪽에 되는지 퇴바치에서 삼바치에서 곰바치에서 등조 티버침벽이 추이나양 되는 나랑 쪽에 삼로기 되는지 군홍 노르소와이나 되는 추대 람도 마송와 추수 마차와 어떻게 지인도 전에 되는 토말 나랑 쪽 되는지 추 신ken다 추년ken 니가 응원에 되는 삼로대 주었던 거에도 백해지 무지 차이에스
So in the beginning, whenever receiving, listening to or explaining Dharma teachings, it is primarily important that there is a pure motivation. So whether engaging in the activities of study, contemplation, or meditation, particularly in the context of the Mahayana Dharma, or the Dharma of the Great Vehicle, if there's some error in the motivation or some sort of fault in the motivation, then the Dharma may not actually go in the right direction of Dharma, or it may not become the path of Dharma, and therefore the Dharma itself does not, or the Dharma does not go toward the Dharma or become the Dharma. So for that reason, it's always especially important that at the outset of an activity such as this, everyone sets the correct intention, a pure intention or motivation. So Khenchen says he's not hearing any translator at all. Yeah. Strange. So I don't know why he can't hear the English. He can't hear anything.
Tene chenen besenya tadi karesna sanjegi songbegindo tene do tingen zenge jabu se ta te shuar chebe kap o tene chi imbare ten du zane tene tingen zenge jabu gendo se ande
aktiv sein.
tene da daji kollo tamegendo tene tin nane habar to ngara so gajuban dajina tene nyame taborum buche long tensa segona enda 냐메 타보름 보체게 되네지다 추 차자 침부게 되네 지금 중공세거나 한다 단 너의 원도 제바이나 텐도 땡엔zen 저분들이 스나 송근도와 텐도 땡엔zen 저분들 내대시나마 송야라 야 슈와 평견데 네 다보이주는 세야다 산지기 로마세거나 한다다 콩게야 슈네 텐도 데마 중앙이 말와 텐 다보이주는 도지나 텐 냐메 감보베기 다지 당부역에 남출세거나 한다. 냐미 감보바 야야 선을 당도 전에는 다오ዥ는 산지기 값을 다오ዥ를 해서 거로 어떤데 인도 전에 너데 지금 지나고 전보다 너 자체 못인데 지금 차용도
So today we begin these teachings on the Samadhiraja Sutra, and it falls into the category of the final or the last turning of the wheel of Dharma. And it is also said to have been something which was greatly relied upon, or what many of the teachings of Gampopa, Dogmo Rinpoche himself, many of his profound teachings on Mahamudra have arisen based on this sutra. In fact, it is said to be like the source as far as all of the sutras are concerned. It is like the sutra source of the profound Dharma of Mahamudra. And so also the disciple who is posing questions to the Buddha in the Sutra, Chandraprabha, is also said to have been, so Gampopa is said to be a reincarnation of Chandraprabha. So he was Chandraprabha during the time of the Buddha. And so in this way, this sutra is really endowed with extraordinary blessings.
인지도는 주사소에 손음 주랑 건설은 대화지 인치게가 고야 요지 조연도에 지금다.
Is it can Rinpoche kogiove?
라임베.
Da nge
당가 고야 요로 인치게.
ko tugiove?
나 고야 문도.
No, he still doesn't hear it.
오케이.
Okay.
오야.
Khenchen has to press a button at the bottom of his screen to get the translation.
He has to press the bottom. He has to do
He
it.
has to press something at his Zoom screen to pick the translation.
Oh, okay. Sonam, can he hear you? Can Khenchen hear Sonam? The problem is I'm isolated from everybody else, it seems, who is not, I don't think the German, Mark, Tenzin, can you speak to the German group and let them know that? Because it sounds like maybe they're the ones that he can hear.
Maybe we have to go via chat. I can hear, okay, hang on. Sonam? Sonam, can you
I
hear
think
it?
he has to go into the English room to hear the English, to hear Virginia, so he can then
Can you
translate.
tell Khenchen that he needs to press a button on his screen? Pick the translation.
Can he hear anything? Can he hear anyone?
Man kann ihm das doch über den Chat schreiben.
Khenchenla, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
준이사모
Yeah,
이제
Kogyo Samara, Kingyue, Kogyo,
저렇게 고문도.
Kingyue, no.
Ist da der Christoph?
Ini maa Khenchen dat digi screen gi ogla de interpretations and den sambuling gi globt dat den wurde icon chi yore de nune den ke karong chi den tache so yate.
오케이, 당에 고쳐요. 야.
Okay.
아야.
Oh, Kogyo, Ali.
Samadhis.
Okay, okay.
오야. 다 근데 인데 드네 간서 다 지금도 땡겐쟁이 제고 다 쉬어야 되는데 지레 대인도 전에 드네 지단 남주 드네 가랑서 다지 가서 그래. 도세야 대배 사바 자체와 답에 남랑마 오던데 지인도 전에 다시 티야가 루선도 시다 매버와 근데 망 제와데 땡주 티그래 근데 맹아게 리턴서 티그래 마도 베든 도 티야가 루선도 남주 시다 지금 만도와 다이는 달로 드네 가생아랑서 다지 탄다 잘매 말레베기 드네 추조기 안들 땡겐생게 잘보이는 도데 인지당 드는 절맹게 게 차상강다 줄차와 던데 시그레 스테인 전에 된 도데 자친부지 인도 전에 지 티고레스 어떻게 지 송송 Ina tangi pe ndo tingzin jago chi su du ji ndo de pe saba ja che wa de ji ndu cha sa ma ji pe ci ri shin du ngan zu chi yan tu bi ya ma re la ne ngun ne ya cha sang ji chi xin ge ya ma re de de dang ndo tang da do do ndo ji de chen de ni ma ji ndo na sa ma de ji de zo nga ra ma de dam do teng de jago de long ji thom yang yo ta chi se ne me se nam ju chi ya lu su yo ma wa 근데 인도 티에서는 더 많이 이나다 롱지 토바 점선 전에 근데 양지 된다 테스트에서 제시도 그 근데 저 가서는 엔드는 뭐 차상 지 로토와 지금 된도 롱지양 권념도 차로와 된 대단 쇼도 되는 거나 수다 진짜시 강투도 지셔야 된다 진스
And so it has been requested that Khenchen give teachings on the Samadhiraja Sutra, which is extraordinarily profound, vast and profound. It really is filled with direct instruction without a whole lot of enumerations. And it has been prior, to recent times, many of these sutras were not translated into other languages such as English or German. And now as this has been recently translated into both English and German, then the Milarepa Center in Germany felt it would be very auspicious to receive these teachings and, asked to receive these very precious and profound teachings. As it is also very extensive and vast, it would be difficult to really go through word by word, to really go in depth into the, all of the content of the sutra. And so as that is the case, Khenchen says since there's not time, and also he himself is not quite as familiar with it, he will just give a summary, as sort of an overview, an overall view or explanation, step by step through the different sections of the sutra. He himself has received the transmission for this sutra. He has not actually received extensive teachings on the sutra, but he has spent some time reading it on his own. And also then as he teaches, he will, or maybe I think maybe he wasn't saying he hasn't received teachings himself, but he has not given extensive teachings on the sutra before. But as he teaches, he will read through also the sutra so that together with the teachings, you also receive the transmission. That's all.
What in the tatin do the don't they get in Saint Lab? Jagakedu, Arya Sarva Dharma, Subhava, Samatha, Vipenchita, Samadhi, Rajya Nama Mahayana Sutra, stop again to June the Zane, then Papa Chutam Jagaranji, Yambani, number 2, things and Jarbushi, Tibachim, doors, and so on the wa. Don't they can send a tongue to Pugerang to Manti Shujawainam. Then it in the Zane Dandi, Tambo, and the things and Jarbo, say I can dog and send it. Tenechita, Robschi, Nigo Dua. The Jidan Chena, a one thing in Jabo, say at the country and the Iminde, Tene Dawishunuki, Sanjila Ya Shune, Tene Sanjaki, things in Jabo, say, turned out in the race, and Ma Jidan Shiftachi, to the one, Leviundu. Tainan the Nan answer Tambochi, Chabin Diggin, Sandaging Nigo in Duzane. Tunda Dordundo, which is Shuna, Samadhis.
So the title of this sutra is the Noble Mahayana Sutra, known as the King of Samadhis, the revealed equality of the nature of all phenomena. And to first, just to give an overview with regard to what is implied by the name. So the king of Samadhis, it is the meaning, of this king of the Samadhis, which is the revealed equality of the nature of all phenomena, is what is explained by the Buddha at the request of the disciple Chandraprabha, who asks the Buddha to explain in detail the meaning of this samadhi, of the king of Samadhis.
다 근데 인도 전에 드니 따지다 남자 남주 차베튼 쪽인 생다 인도 전에 생다출 맹다출 된 만다와 만부 용비여와 배차 카시에겐 생데 죄자게 돈을 따로 요래 배차게 맹카시 배차게 맹카시에 대 사차게 돈을 따로 요래 변나 너디 랑그르시바 세야티 사차게 돈을 맹다셔 버와 드니야 너디 카시에 대 산지라 야 너디 슝켄 소이네 슝켄기 돈에 맹다셔 같은 내용 요래 변나 너 카시에 맹라 부모진 챙기 주변 도 쓰는데와 부모를 붙이 저기 슈백인도 너 가시긴 전에 쉬워 보이도는 다셔봐. 근데야
부모렌친 슈백이도
렌칭기 슈벤도 서게 된두티 가서는 쉬워 보디 부모렌칭 세야 인자 드린 너 거랑 세나양 부모렌칭기 슈벤도 스타셔 같은데 연구요래. 그냥 참참 쇼로가게 장가게 돈을 맹다셔 같은데 연구를 빼는 좀 붐세도와 야나 제동바 세도와 텐수 쇼로가 장가게 돈을 맹다셔 버래. 디지류 전에 딱 맹다수는 담는 망보지 유도 전에 단단 되네 맹 컨디션을 따와래서도 유자게 돈을 되는 맹다시 같은 지래 송바래.
And so there are many different ways in which the titles of sutras are given, or kind of the title of sutras that indicate different aspects of or details of the content. So for instance, there's a sign in the name that indicates either, for instance, the place where the sutra, the title either indicates the place, for instance, in the case of the Lankavatara Sutra, or based on a person who requested the sutra. So in discourses where there is a dialogue or there is a request, the name is indicated by the one who requests the sutra. So for instance, the sutra requested by the girl Rinchen or the Bumo Rinchen. And then sometimes it is indicated by the number, say in the case of Prajna Paramita in 8,000 verses. So there are there are these different sort of categories. And then of course, there's the content, there's the name which indicates the topic or the content. And in the case of this sutra, it indicates the content or the topic.
This one. Oh yeah. 다 근데 인도 전에 단단디 용데 근데 죄제 돈은 다 맹다셔 버려 송도 전에 단 디기 죄제데 가르레 송도 다 죄제데 근데 최탐제 랑신 냠바니 넘버 2바 띵진게 자고 써야 돼 단데나 가르 간데 이민 디고르마 송용 거와 대인도 전에 근데 죄제 돈에 차원적인 생각들이 다셔 버려 송바래.
So here, what is meant by, what the topic or the content or what it is that is explained in the sutra. In this case, it is the king of Samadhis, which is the revealed equality of the nature of all phenomena. So this is what is explained throughout the entirety of the sutra.
다 대인도 전에 드네 단디 된다는데 가르송거에서는 최탐책의 랑신 냠바니 넘버 2바 땡긴정이 자고 사용도 전에 드는 딜라 드네 문에 땡긴정이 자고 사용다다 대나신도 찾아 침보 소야다 대나신도 최탐책의 내루 사야다 등도 된다 지과 돈을 소용도와 대인도 전에 단디낭라 최탐책 랑신 냠바니 상문에 최탐책의 내루 최탐제의 랑신데 뭐 냠바니게 랑신로와 가서는 코로와 세네 주영게 랑신 직당 냥에는 대바스네 연댕게 랑신지 카가요 말와 대인도 최탐제대 주바 탐제도 저외 랑신지래 대인도 전에 최탐제 랑신 냠바니스 대기 조고 가르송 그래서는 유를 추기인데 송거래 근데 넘버 2바 송도와 넘버 2바 세안 대기 근데 다 오늘 지단 송도 넘버 2바 tel라 숨자선도 2바 잠먼저 숨자 대인도 전에 다 된대기 되네지 내루 2배기 내루 차창와 또배기 되네 땡인진 tel라 땡인진이 잡으세요래 스탠드 최탐제 게 랑신 냠바니 스도 제타와 되네 넘버 2바 스도 제녀바 된대기 제타와 단 제녀반 쳔배기 예시 강인바 텔라tin 땡긴생이 자보스는 소용도와 어디인도 전에 드는디 된다된 제시 제단 직체인도 다 단다tin 난신체네 드네지 다 최탐제기 내루 냠바니 제타와 대당 드네 넘버 2바 세인도 전에 최진 제녀바 서로 남중한서 어텐데 니보테 양다원 쳔백이 예시 강인바 텔라 땡긴생이 자보스는 송교레스 어때인도 다 된디나네 마드네 송용화 인자 배찬되긴 생나양 땡긴생이 자보스는 생다바레 송바레
And so then with the meaning of again, to continue with the meaning of the title, so as it says, the revealed equality of the nature of all phenomena, which this is the king of Samadhis. So the king of Samadhis is, in fact, the essence of Mahamudra. It is the true nature of all phenomena. It is referring to the ultimate meaning. And so first we have the equality which is referring to the fundamentally equal nature, the fundamental equality nature of all phenomena, and that ultimately there is this essence of equality. So for instance, the nature of samsara and the nature of nirvana are not ultimately two. They are one fundamental essence and the ultimate truth. And then, as it says, the nature of all phenomena. So the all phenomena part is referring to kind of all the aspects of the separate or the multiplicity of phenomena. And so in this particular text, there are like 300 different aspects that are mentioned. And in general, in speaking in terms of the two types of omniscience, or the omniscient wisdom, which sees things as they are in their ultimate essence, and the omniscient wisdom, which sees things as they are in their multiplicity. So this is, both of these are contained in this King of Samadhis. And so it is this explanation of the equality, also the quality of all phenomena as the omniscient wisdom, which sees things as they are in their ultimate essence, and then also in their multiplicity, and with regard to the details of the multiplicity. And so that is what is covered or referred to in this aspect of the title that says, you know, the enumerate. It actually sometimes might be said as the enumeration of phenomena. And so that is the explanation of the title.
Oh yeah. Teni yang dila teni samno shenda chigita tona tawa inam. Teni yang teni chigure sungdawa. Papa chu tam chegi ranjin nyamba ni. Number tuba meba sayachi. Number tuba meba tingin zingi jarbos. Tatanda ngaranzu peche na number tuba tingin zingi jarbos sungdawa. Tatende ina tanchi shiwa na jinchi. Tayan dila samno shenda chitang disane chu tam chegi ranjin nyamba ni de karasana. Number 2 ba mebares. Number 2 ba saying is an kunzu chu lower get in it tama. That tamje ba zangme neluk jires, chu tamje ranshin de nyamba ni nduane korwasene sul pa bang warchawaji. Nyangelen debasene sul lang warchawaji. Zamboji, nembaji, tendege number 2 ba de mebares, chu tamje ranshin de. That teto tobegi yishi chaja chimbo tela. Tele tingin zingi jarbo sene sungu yore sene yang de njewe nangla number 2 ba mepa sene kowale na yang njigire sungu da tende yungdu kandar di tene tingin zingi jarbo seya de da zowo kasana chaja chenpo tela tene kowale yungu yore de chakching na kogu yore sungu yore.
So number truba meba, driba meba.
Tuba meba. Tuba harwa segiro, tuba meba sigwarwa.
Truba sena?
Tuba sena, manzo tan namju pen damana mambo yore chig sambo, ngemba, yapo, dubo, tatum sumo tuba rwa.
Okay, awesome.
And you 2 days ago, tuba tan tarwa segiro, then you tuba meba tanda chigware.
So another way that it could be thought of is that, you know, this King of the Samadhis is the revealed equality of the nature of all phenomena, or also the revealed nature of the absence of elaboration, or the absence of all elaboration. And so, meaning that in the exhaustion of the relative phenomena, or in this realization of this equality, this great equality, or the true essence, then all of the obscurations are purified, and the designations of pure and impure and so on, all of the elaborations likewise are exhausted. And so it is mainly speaking of this meditative absorption of which is Mahamudra, which is primordial wisdom, the essence of primordial wisdom, in which all elaboration is exhausted, or is the absence of proliferation, maybe is a better way to say it, the absence of proliferation.
다 근데 인도 강들이야. 드네. 다 주름 제가 이제 냠바님 넘버 주 땡긴 땡긴 잡고서 다 주바 매바 땡긴 땡긴 잡고 송도 전에 다 딘데데 라파 나도 삼노단에 바지 이해완도 오지 제와 있나. 드니 이제당 람당 제우스는 숨 다시 조로와 남주 찾아 첨부 세들 이제 찾아 첨부 람 찾아 첨부 대우 찾아 첨부는 송고요. 되나신 전에 드니 지 단단히 최 탐제게 란신 냠반이 넘버 주바 매바 다 땡긴쟁이 잡고 대라양 드니 먼저 예 땡긴쟁이 잡고 람게 땡긴쟁이 잡고 제우 땡긴쟁이 잡고 스나 대신에 드니 넘버 숨도 바에 조요사래 나 근데 제인도 전에 당부 예 땡긴쟁이 잡고 손은도 나랑 속에 드니 지 숨게 란신 나는 좀 대버시고 닝보양 송고요와 텐데게 숨게 란신데 최 탐제게 되는 랑신이래. 최 탐제게 내용 탈도가 되래. 대인도 텐데게 최 탐제게 내용 탈도가 승거랑신 내버리시고 형부 되라. 되는지 장년당 코로와당 양대에서야 텐데게 소속의 최 제매 말에 대인도 냠반이래. 텐데게 내버리시고 형부대 되네 주바 탐제당 잘와래. 주바 매발에. 텐데게 내버리시고 형부대 땅문에 지 땡인제 탐제는 잘보래. 실업 탐제는 초도 출발해. 이시래 대인도 전에 근데 텐데지라 이시 땡긴쟁이 잡고 스나 송고요사래.
And so, as this sutra, the King of Samadhis, as the revealed equality of the nature of all phenomena, or the absence of all the essence, which is the absence of all elaboration. Also, it has these three, we can refer to the three categories of the ground, the path, and the fruition. So we have the ground, Mahamudra as the ground, Mahamudra as the path, and Mahamudra as the fruition. And likewise, with regard to the King of Samadhis, it can be understood with from the perspective or with regards to the ground, the path, and the fruition, as the equality of all phenomena is this essence, which is the ground being the true nature of mind, the Tathagata Garbha, the Buddha nature, the true nature, the true essence of all phenomena. And so the ultimate truth, which is in fact the true nature of the mind itself. In which there is no longer this duality of positive, good and bad, or pure and impure, samsara and nirvana. Samsara and nirvana, good and bad, pure and impure, are all equalized in the revealed equality of all phenomena. So this is the state, again, which is free of proliferation or without proliferation. And so therefore, of all samadhis, it is the king. It is the king of all types of samadhi. And it is the most supreme wisdom of wisdoms.
아테네 텐데게 땡긴진 다시 땡긴진 되니 드니 람에 모테 로마게 몬트 텐데제는 몬트바 난신 제네들은 람 냠술랭도 전에 드니 가서 찾아 전부 곰바 송거와 티난신 제네 땡긴진게 잡고 곰바 다 텐데고 데라 드니 람게 땡긴진게 잡고 스네 송고서래 아니 텐데게 람게 땡긴진게 잡고데 양내양도 곰네 타르치용도 전에 드린 대우 산지의 공방, 대우 주공원도 전도도 전에 된대긴 대우 추직고 되라 단 대우게 되는 땡땡이 저보스 오다 된대지 예람 대우 숨제 되는 땡땡이 저보스는 봐 삼노탄에 너는 된대진도 주요사래 삼삼래
And so the ground, as the king of Samadhi, is referring to the ground awareness. So for instance, in the case of introduction to where the Lama gives pointing out, and the student recognizes that essence, So first, what is being introduced is the ground, but then once there is that recognition there, then the student meditating on Mahamudra. So this is then the path as the king of Samadhis. Through the process of habituation, meditating again and again on this intrinsic essence, then that becomes the path. So the king of Samadhis is the path. And then the fruition, of course, is then arriving at this state of Buddhahood or full awakening. It is the actualization of the Dharmakaya. And so this then is the fruition. The king of Samadhis is fruition. So we have the ground, the path, and the fruition. The Duva Dylan Ki Gyaltsen. And so then, as we already established, the title, which is the King of Samadhis, is referring to the content or what it is that is actually explained in the sutra. And this explanation occurs in the context of a dialogue or a discourse, which is between the disciple Chanaprabha and the Buddha, who upon when there's the question that is posed, or the questions that are posed by Chandraprabha, and then the Buddha's response, and this then goes into the detailed explanation or account of this king of Samadhis. So that then is the title, the name of the title, the King of Samadhis, which indicates what it is that is explained, or the content of the sutra itself. Pangpo,
반보세는 용기 체시지를 가지고 표현하는 반보 당보 슬라다와 반보라도 안에 쇼로가 숨잘라 반보 찍찍이래. 되게 용기 체신적으로 찍래.
Okay. So there are there's this section in which there are the 300 topics, or 300 verses. And so we begin then, where we'll begin is then with the first section.
뭐야, 다들 산제의 전주선 바탕제라 찬창고 스타트인도 전에 제단 산제의 송배 주기 본부 제트시동 상마대 손도 도와이나 근에 두르베기 되는 응배기 되는 도디 되는 되는 숨는 도구로와 근데 인도 전에 데드네 조고 도디 되는 인상 근데 산제의 전주선 바탕제라 찬창로 선의 송바래.
And so then with the first section, the first chapter, which is the introduction, it begins by saying, I pay homage to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So as we know, all of the 84,000 categories of the Buddha Dharma can be divided into the three categories of Vinaya, Sutra and Abhidharma. So the Vinaya Pitaka, the Sutra Pitaka, and the Abhidharma Pitaka. And so here, as it indicates, the homage is made to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. This indicates that this sutra falls into the category of the Sutra Pitaka.
Tati indun di sanje da chanchu samba tamje la chanchalo sayandi pyo gi loza wa ge tene kwe she barwa. Di nguma pyo la loza wa tandur tim ji su na yusara jarbo gi tim. Pyo gi jarbo gi. Kari zui wa resana tene churang zo da chi pecha jaane ma pyo la juri yundu zane kesi durwe gi pecha ji juri yuna tene tegi ngola tamchen chen bala chanchalo san labgo res. Kain sana Ndurvegi netru shipcha chenken de sanje mato yo mares. Tinsa Ndurvegi pechaji juruayina tamchen chembala chansolos. Ta kesi ngumbegi pechaji juruyona, pechaji ngumbegi denuina. Tenen gola jambe junu churubala chansolos labgores. Jumsen karsana ngumbala tesi rikpa yabu gores. Tendu rikbegi lade tene jesun jambe yang res. O tende induzane ngumbegi denuila. Jambela chansaya. Ta kesi dodi ji juruyona, dodi denu ji juruyona. Teni pecha tegin gola sanje da chanchu samba tamjela chansalo labgo res. Ti jumsen karchene resana dodi denu mang chewade sanje da chanchu samba ni pazu tewa teleng tong ma sung jabare. Dodi denu mang chewade. Te indu zane tanda penna tingin zengin jerbon raja inaya. Teni chanchu samba dawu yunuge ya chewate sanjege tela leng tona ma sung jaba indu zane tan dodi denu cha yungu yurwa. O te indu zane di chansaya tegi jik denu sum kari imbalamsa hako tugurin dil tene. Tende inza din dodi denu imbare.
And so this is a system that was established by the translators who translated the Dharma into Tibetan. And it was prescribed by the king at the time. And this is so it became a system for identifying where the particular sutra belongs within the divisions of the three baskets. For instance, when it is a sutra belonging to the category of Vinaya, then it begins with homage, or homage is paid to the omniscient one, the Buddha, because there is said to be nobody who can understand with complete detail and clarity all of the aspects of Vinaya like the Buddha. So it is only the Buddha who has that extensive knowledge and understanding, the Buddha himself who has that extensive knowledge and understanding of the Vinaya himself. And then when it is a sutra that belongs to the category of Abhidharma, then the homage is paid to Manjushri. So it says, I pay homage to the youthful Manjushri. And then this is, homage is here paid to Manjushri because to understand the Abhidharma requires a lot of intelligence, great wisdom and intelligence. And so as the deity who is sort of the supreme among deities of in intelligence and wisdom, then homage is paid here in the context of Abhidharma to Manjushri. And then in the sutta, to indicate the Sutra Pitaka, then homage is paid to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, because usually in these discourses, there is a back and forth or questions and answers between the Bodhisattvas and the Buddha, or a Bodhisattva and the Buddha, as in the case of this sutra with the questions posed by Chandraprabha. And so that indicates then that it falls into the category of Sutta Pitaka.
This one? Oh yeah. 다 근데 이들 전에 드는 다 도디 되는 거 같은 데지. 근데 딴지단 남주 도시에 용도 전에 드는 도시야게 탑lâm 되라 드는 부숨 조바 세서送 거예요. 지단기 차에 단도 공지는 데지送요와 근데 담지 폰송나 이들은 送 거래. 코르와단 양에는 데와 참마데 부숨 조바가게 란신제 베나 네 부숨 조바 뒤은 부숨 조바 lemban pusum soba, chun pusum soba, korum pusum soba, sanin pusum soba, ngagi rangshin, da tanga tenda shik redo yorwa. Da labaradu sanjege tenen do songyundu zane, tenen do te pusum soba ngayi tone songyungu yore. Tenen zane, dene ma tenen pusum soba ngabo te, da songyunga tenda shik redowa, no tere.
And so, as it is, belonging to when the sutras were explained, then particularly in this context of the Sutra Pitaka, where there is the discourse, the questions posed, and then the responses, then they are told within the context, or complete within this dialogue, are what are referred to as the 5 excellences, or sometimes the 5 perfections. And so Khenchen La referred to one of the Vajra statements from the Gongchik, where it says all of samsara and nirvana are included within the 5 perfections. And so all of samsara and nirvana are included within the 5 perfections, in that these 5 perfections are complete within samsara and nirvana. So first, the perfection of the place, the perfection of the time, the perfection of the teacher, the perfection of the dharma, and the perfection of the retinue, or the entourage. And so as the Buddha taught, these 5 perfections were present, were complete.
아테인도 타닌데네 되게 다게 튜베 뒤지나 선송도 아테인도 딘도 띵임쟁이 잡은데 주로 까둔난 게 답변에 산지기 마 송바달람 산데 얘기 들었을 뒤에 말와 산진양에는 대차외기 제라 네 같은 주로 까둔난 말와 자라 딘도 니 까둔난 게데 조 군가고 임바래 딘도 되게 다게 튜바 손도 다서야 되게 군가고 써요 당에 누마 산지기 되네 근데지 투송스 단도 땡행쟁이 잡은데 드네 줄 까둔난 게데 군가고 인도잖아 드네 군가고게 드네 송바는 되게 다게 튜베 뒤지나 예세도 전에 디 뒤지나 서야 되게 드네 튜 무슨 조바대 시행이래.
And so then the first line here, the first words at the opening of the sutra say, "Thus have I heard at one time." And so this is not these teachings are later recounts of what it was that the Buddha taught at particular times. So it wasn't as though the Buddha spoke and then it was recorded. But after the Buddha passed into parinirvana, and then there was the sort of gathering of all of the teachings that the Buddha gave. And so it was mainly Ananda who remembered and recounted most of these teachings. So these are the words of Ananda. And as it says, "Thus have I heard at one time." So at one time is actually referring to, within these 5 perfections, the perfection of the time. So the time in which the Buddha taught the King of Samadhis.
네, 다 되게 제수 좀 된데 세야스도와 좀 된데 세야 되게 근데 저 가서는 땜바 무슨 저한테 소용이요. 넌데 드네지 마 송케 세브로와 대소에서 좀 된데스 지단에 좀 된데 좀 세야 되게 근데 지금 뉴몬발 시지에게 드발라서 탐지 법방 참게 덴바 세야 되게 근데 또 배기 연대 탐지 단 된den게 내바 지도자네 지진이게 탈래야 대송아 코르와당 냥에는 되면 탈니래야 대송아 근데게 되네 배 뜸바 무슨 소가 되게 단 돈데 송바레스 좀 된데 세야 되게 되네 뜸바 무슨 소가 돼 송바레
So then it says the Bhagavan, which would literally be translated as the transcendent conqueror, and in Tibetan it's Chomdinde. So who is the one who is giving these teachings? So then the breaking down the Tibetan word of Chomdinde, and this is referring to in the five perfections. This is referring to the perfection of the teacher. So first the perfection of the time was mentioned, and now the perfection of the teacher. And then in the name Chomdinde, or the title, the epithet for the Buddha, Chom is referring to, which means to conquer, is referring to the conquering of, that Buddha has conquered all the obscurations of afflictive emotions and the cognitive obscurations, having fully abandoned these two types of obscurations. And then also the middle part of the word, which is din, which means endowed with, literally, is referring to all of the enlightened qualities, or the realization of qualities that is perfected, or that the Buddha possesses. So he is endowed with all of the perfected qualities of realization. And then the third syllable of the word, which is de, which literally means transcended, is referring to how the Buddha has completely transcended the two extremes of existence and peace.
다들 대기 제수 근데 내 무슨 소가 대시하는 거야. 내 무슨 소바 손도자네 되네 너 땡인생게 자본데 뜸범 무슨 소바기 산지 좀 된대기 다 송백이 내대 가발로 송바래 생도자네 되네 자부 감나 자부 풍부질라 세야 되게 내 무슨 소가 대래 대지도자네 제단게 되네 자부 감세야 돼 대에서 파 사실 자체와래 디 남생라 자구 봉부르세야 되는거와 띵도 되는 디나라 자부 감나 자구 봉부르라 사전이 시행도와 띵도 딜라테네 가르송도스나 디 사전이 시행고에 좀 센도데 산제긴도 띵인증이 자본도 송배 갑라 되네 나랑초 메자 파르바 베나 게니 임베게 되네 코르텐데야 망보요레스 텐데 이에 봤더니하게 체도 되는 자부 컵 세야디 송바레스 되는 도땡인제 자부 송백깔라 잡도 총아 게술다 게혼라 소바야 삼점 쳐봐요레스 텐데 인자 자구 봉보rel라스네 네니 소야 되게 코르만다와 니여 같은 땡거요레스는 송바레 대인도 전에 강다를 되니 네 무슨 소가다 되나 송바레스 해야 돼.
So then we get to the, within the five perfections, the perfection of the place. So then, as it says, the Bhagavan was residing at Vulture Peak Mountain in Rajagriha, together with so that we'll just leave it there, in Rajagriha at Vulture Peak Mountain. And so this is the place where the Buddha taught, the king of Samadhis. And it is actually mentioning two places here. So specifically in the larger region, or the city of Rajagriha, and specifically at the place of Vulture Peak Mountain. And the reason for the two mentions of place here, or the two aspects of the place, is that it is indicating that when the Buddha taught the King of Samadhi Sutra, that there were both lay practitioners and a retinue of ordained, like it was a combination of both lay disciples and ordained disciples. So the Rajagriha is referring to the lay practitioners, the retinue of lay practitioners, and then the Vulture Peak Mountain is referring to the fact that there were also there was a big gathering also of the ordained Sangha. So they're both, it's indicating these two aspects of the retinue, or that two retinues were present.
아테네 되게 올라 땅 코르 보송 소와 송용 거를 딱갑 대도 산지게 되네 땡인증게 잡고는 돈데 숭베게 갑라 되는 코르 보송 소바 다 소소요레스 다 저한테 지금 그러봐 땡방 보송 소바 산지 좀 된데게 내 보송 소바 절고 공부질라 되네 추운 보송 소바 너 땡인증게 잡고는 숭베 갑라 되네 숭베 뷰 보송 소바 된데게 갑라 다 코름 부숨 소바 수요레 세나다 내래 마트는 코름 부숨 소바 송바레 담보 가르스나 겔홍 붐도 참에 겔홍게 겐든 침보다 탑지도 주소 송도와 대송도 잔에 대두 코름 나네 담보 년퇴근 콜라소바 송용비요레 데 겔홍 붐도 참와 송다 겔홍 붐게 장가요바 겔홍게 겐든 침보 다 겐든 침보 사인도 잔에 지 다가즈 겔홍 참마임바 뇨몬베 데발레 토르와 티나신도 드네베 지 사밤메베기 이시줄라 댕댕게 덴데게베 년투 삼점에 잡아 년투기 게롱 봄라소바다 냠도 탑지도 서도 냠도 드네 주도 요레스 주소세야 되게 드네 코르 년투기 게롱 템바레.
So then so we have these aspects then that the time, the perfection of the time here at one time, the teacher, the perfection of the teacher being the Bhagavan or the Buddha, the perfection of the place being Vulture Peak Mountain and Rajagriha. And now we have then also there's the perfection of the retinue, and the perfection of the Dharma then also is this King of Samadhi Sutra. And then the perfection of the retinue, so who is the retinue? So it says, together with a great bhikshu sangha of a full 100,000 bhikshus. So this is referring to the fully ordained sangha, which comprise the retinue of Shravakas. So 100,000 Shravakas, and it says the great bhikshu sangha. So being a great bhikshu sangha, it's not just like ordinary bhikshus, ordinary ordained ones, but ordinary ordained ones, but unordinary ordained ones who are exalted above the ordinary, being that they have fully purified their obscurations of afflictive emotions and are endowed with authentic wisdom and understanding.
하테네 다단데 단데나 주소 송도와 산제 되네 게롬 붐직당 그네 냠도 주소서야지. 근데 지난 산제 주소를 될라더니 주소를 문다와 이해요다. 산제 주소야 되라. 맨나 꾸이 주소를 송기 주소를 근데 투기 주소를 스타트인데 전에 마 송용 거를 변에 꾸이 주소를 간대시는 주바라서나 근데 산제 좀 된데 코르텐데게 찔도 근데 배지 차 냠브르샤 대신도 되네 샵돌지 지종도체 오다 텐데시는 꾸이 주바 되네 송기 주바 선도자네 되네 다자 카좀 대샤바 마임바 주당데 송기 주술 되냐 되네 배단 도 땡엔쟁게 자골라서 왔다고 되네게 추사모 송기 주바스 그러와 된도 송기 주술 되네 투기 주술 되나 니시에인 거예요 투기 주술 지카르에서나 산지 좀 된데데 추 송백깔라 이나엔다 추 무송백깔라 이나엔다 조백깔라 이나엔다 유백깔라 이나 탐제데 냠샤 레 마유버레 가두이는 냠브르샤바 임바레 텐두산에 투 냠브르샤바 아세야지 Tenia ta tuk nyambra shawa yadu zane kanya ha mogo cha songa ji na tom tom do jian medemba cha songa tende mayin bar sanje tene be ji na yu yu de zane tuk nyambra ya de ba ti ngang ne ro wa ru ge simchen tham je la tene hinje chimbu gun tu ta du zing ne ju ba den de tuk ge su de la ni nyambra ya ba simchen la tu jin che me bar zi ba o tende chene tene sanje de yusur jige don tene da jago pumur la tene chene ju bares o te son bare ju so se ya te
And so then, as it says, he resided together with this retinue, this Sangha. And so this resided, as it's referring to the Buddha residing here. So there are 4 aspects of his residing or abiding, sort of the residing of his body, his enlightened body, the residing of his speech, his enlightened speech, and the residing of his mind or enlightened mind. And so the way in which his body resides is that they are residing in the meditative equipoise, seated with the body in the posture of meditation with the legs folded in the Vajra position. And then the residing of the speech is referring to the fact that then it wasn't as though, the Buddha just sat with his, and somebody needs to be muted. I'm sorry, there's something happening here. And so then as with his speech, it wasn't as though he was sitting silently, but that he was speaking this profound Dharma. And then the residing of his mind has 2 aspects. So as he was teaching the Dharma, he is abiding in meditative equipoise or meditative absorption. And not only that, but the Buddha abides in meditative absorption or equipoise in all postures at all times, whether he is walking or sitting, speaking or silent. And so this is referring to the meditative absorption of his mind. But the meditative absorption of his mind is also not just like a state of total, absence of anything, but it isn't, like some sort of void, but it is pervaded by extraordinarily great compassion for beings. So he abides in meditative absorption, realizing the ultimate meaning, and also looking with great compassion upon all sentient beings.
Wala statene tegi jela ta nintu khor jibu zamayin bar ta changchu samba pe samje me chaba yore sombar changchu samba chewa tha tik tha jeju dang thap jik de songwa ta changchu samba yang pe mangbo nyamdu lenje du ju yore res tenge thap jik de es ya tedi tene tanji jibare nintu gi gendun zam ma se tene changchu samba ta pe tiba chimbu ge tene changchu samba gendun tende yang tene pe tang mangbo nyamdu ju yore es o te sombare.
And so then it goes on to say, so he was residing together with this retinue of bhikshus, the full 100,000 bhikshus, and also together with 80 quintillion bodhisattvas. And so not only were the retinue of Shravakas present, but also there were all of these many representatives of the great vehicle, these great bodhisattvas who were present.
다 텐데게 장주 선바 텐조양 장섬 소수지고 더 마인바 네 장주 선바다 사주바 샤다레 송바레 텐든데나 찌지다와 탐치에장 제와찌게 토바 송도와 제와찌게 토바 생도 전에 다 산지게 공방 토야라 제와찌마도 파메와 단대기 제완디 사주바는 네베 장주 선바레 네네바 제와 제월로 처웨기 제다나 네 산지게 공방 톰종케 제바 중니게 출된케 다 텐데게 사주바 짱짱 레드요레스 다 되네마 되네 장주 선배 연된 시행을 다 내망이 로시행 되네.
And so then it says, Bodhisattvas, all of whom had one birth remaining and were renowned for their higher cognitions. And so this is referring to the fact that these are not, bodhisattvas at sort of the beginning levels of enlightenment, but they are all bodhisattvas on the 10th bhumi, at the 10th level, who have, one birth or one more lifetime until fully enlightened Buddhahood is attained, and they demonstrate the 12 deeds. So then from this point on, Khenchen will read through the rest of the sutra up to a certain point.
Tenema chidata mai shu nazu nipa ki jablogi tene yitang jiba nang par loya yin yitang jiba nang sondo sana shu nipa ki jablo yitang jiba da tenela kar sondo sana tene jomden de kor jatong tume yongso kurjing ndönji tene chu tende sa ten ngo pardu te pardu.
Also,
야, 다 전주선 봐. 탐지 제와 지게 도와 응벌시바 추진제 대제 감사는 되고 존은 너도 도버 콘도 주바 심제 탐지를 추진진배 첨벌시바 응벌시바 친부 이시 주바랑 개바 퍼르도 친바 탐지게 탐배 퍼르도 선바 전주선배 땡겐전에 응벌 주바 탐지 넘버시바 시바랑 개바 산제 탐지게 또쟁한테 답도 그러와 산제게 신 탐지도 전주진 도와랑 로와랑 개바 뒤동제 잡으러 제외 시바랑 개바 추탐지 신다와진도 시바랑 개바 심제 탐지게 원보조는 좀 많이 봐 시바랑 개바 심제 추발라서 레양타 버드바 시바랑 개바 이제 dembe 추탐지 뭐가 르당하다 스명타 버진바 참바 침보는 이제 침보 고작비바 거와 탐메와 이지 뭐죠 순도치고 승계다 침보도 페이지 그로와 탐지 쓰지면은 봐 페이지 그로와 탐지 지세지면은 봐 칠무도에 차지했다가 산재 탐지 주직 원고와 도바 샤다다데 전주선바 선바진보 흠보대로도 흠보점문전나 흠보만이 들보도 흠보저도 흠보전선 흠보저보도 흠보점무고 요버제베 제보도 흠보인데 진지전보다 나양한다 흠보체인 중에 흠보체 또다 흠보체 점무다 흠보체 중에 종화다 흠보체 나와다 흠보체 연결와다라는 자 세자 흠보체다 흠보체 그바다 흠보체 저와다 흠보체 우다 흠보체 링당 가워체바 추교바다 그베 제보도 sen지군도 젠바다 영교바다 야나바다 타베 우다 흠보체 찌바다 님의 저전다 까르마라 가와다 다베베전다 셈지마도 추진 콜로그로와다 세르zambo 남라타베보다 전주선바 심바 선바 전보다도 면직진메 시제와다 전주선바 본나서 바카바선보 전주선바 선바 전보 탐제는 제벨라서 선바 뻬미보 주주다 잔종라서 지고 담바지로도 지르고 전바질라서 진지에르지 하이보다 선바라서 선이 하이보드는 바르드 대진내제데 마마이 지야 원제와다 원자와 하들로도 늦진들에서 하마인다는 그때 마음지도 도시지만 뭐다 마마이 자신 껍질와 탐지고 주는데 그때 라마르체를 모르진 제버체 소버체 코르진나 하르체 왠지 den치자 차제와 제버체와 꾸드체와 정 라마르체와 모르체와 제버체와 소버체와 줄도스 다 데버도 가르송 바르스는 전주선 같은 쪽의 연대 배지 사주발란의 전주선 같은 쪽이 되지 빵의 연대 또배 연대 푸숨 소바다 댄데베 되니 전주선 같은 데다 되니 대나신도 배 자부침 같은 데다 대나신도 라다 로다 되니 배다 텐속이 너는 tene pen kor samji mecha bada nyam lenjik do tene chago pumbo de judo yores te jube kala ya tene kor tenzo ta sachi karase gore ni konen deja ba mayin ba kala sane deja ba mayin ba tene yubegi gendun tang tene chanchu samba tang 대진도 사다 매 탐제기 산제라 되는 배 추박 분네 산제라 꼬르와 지기 산제라 소르완 대비 어떤데 쟤네들이 주요레스 어다 텐데 송말 대파도.
So what Khenchen just read through up to this point is really extolling the qualities of the bodhisattvas and naming many of them, explaining that there was, the perfection of all of these great beings, these great bodhisattvas present, who had the quality, had both, the qualities of having abandoned and also the qualities of abandonment and the qualities of realization, also all of the great kings, all of the many classes of devas or gods, many classes of nagas and other non-human beings, in a inconceivably vast retinue was present there. receiving these words, these precious words from the Buddha. And it wasn't as though they were there kind of casually, you know, some of them sleeping and some of them maybe eating food. No, they all paid homage to the Buddha, the bhikshus, the bodhisattvas, the devas, and nagas and so forth. They all continuously made offerings to the Buddha. They circumambulated the Buddha and they supplicated the Buddha.
Tene 산지기 최근에 동계에서나 테마 송도와 테네 좀 된데 스탄 거자동 투메 용수권에 tene 창마 배지 산지기 숭추나에 깔라 tene 거르든서 창마데 배 산제라 제 앞에 깔에 카보리 삼백인 듯이 산지기 군도네 숭추 도야 대야배 소놈 첨부지리 삼백인 듯이 텐데게 토네 tene 탐지기 산지기 셰라야 따네 tene 주년에 유요레스
So then it goes on to say, so down at the point where it says in the side at the side 1.4, so it says, then the Bhagavan, encircled and esteemed by that assembly of many hundred thousands, taught the Dharma. So the Buddha also is not hanging back and taking it easy, but he's explaining the profound Dharma continuously, and all of those who are receiving the Dharma, who are listening, are have come to see the face of the Buddha, knowing how difficult it is to actually get the chance to be in his presence, how difficult it is to have the opportunity to receive his teachings, to receive his Dharma. And so therefore they are all sort of eagerly, anticipating his words, looking at his face as he speaks.
디원의 산지기 추송술대 송용도 와다 산지기 가르송으로서나 추던데스 추던도 창벌 줘봐 토마르게와 바르도게와 타마르게와 동현상부 증도상부 만디바 용소 줘봐 용소 다봐 용소 장화양 다바르도 던도 송다 디나는 게 지금 숨든데 시작이로와 토마르게와 바르도게와 타마르게와 써야 돼. 근데 산지기 전에 송추 나용을 값수 산지기 송추라 차ချင်း가르창요래. 체추 가르요래서나 산지기 송대 라 체추 숨창요래 세글 쪼고 이 가르서나 토마르게와스 생도 전에 빼나 산지기 추인 송바 텔라 때네 년투게 남는 슈베게 간사 남지 년투 다정을 고마 독도레스 텐도 토마르게와스 대송게 에나젠도 산지기 추송베 깔라 tene chu nyen ken de la rang sanje ge kansa yobaina tenzo ge rang sanje ge kompang top to res de indu zane pardu gewa tene sanje ge chu song be ka su chu nyen ken la tiba chembu ge chanchu samba yuna tenzo ge sanje ge kompang tom ro yore de indu tamar gewa as ta de chen de shi jatan ji yore tamar gewa pardu gewa tamar gewa sa ya de sanje ge song ge da jile de de yore song ge
That's all. So then it says he taught perfectly the spiritual conduct that is good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end, that has good meaning and has good words and so forth. So here, the words of the Buddha are good. It's referring to these three aspects that are always complete, that are always present in the Buddha's teachings, and that it is virtuous or good in the beginning, it is virtuous or good in the middle, and it is virtuous or good in the end. And so what what are these three referring to? When it says that his teachings were good or virtuous in the beginning, this is referring to the fact that through the power of his speech, through the power of his words, all of the Dharma that he teaches becomes the cause to bring Shravakas to the realization, the level of the highest level of realization for the Shravakas. So by the Dharma becoming the cause to lead Shravakas to the awakening of Shravakas, it is good in the beginning. And then in that the Buddha's teachings, or the Dharma, has the power to then bring those in the middle, the Pratyekya Buddhas, to the level of the attainment of Pratyekya Buddhas. This is how it is good in the middle. And then it is good in the end, in that this is referring to the disciples of the great vehicle, the Bodhisattvas, who, through the power of the Buddha's words, then reach the state of fully perfected Buddhahood, or the state of full awakening or Buddhahood. And so this is referring to how the Buddha's teachings are virtuous in the end. So this is one way to explain this virtuous in the beginning, the middle, and the end.
Oh, 내 찾아 치에서. Las. 주차선.
그래.
다테니야 토마르게와 바르드게와 타마르게와 소는데 산에 산지게 추인데라 먼저 토마르 튜바체바 이나야 인딜라테네테니 베 튜베시람 부숨조가 줄을 제토바 바르드 삼바체바 이나야 텔라테네 테니 베지 뇽바 라바든 좀마 gon number chitoba 테네 테네인데 바르드게와 다 타마르테니 베지 gom jabayina 산지기 추기 되나 gombayina 근데 녀몽바 때네 봐 돌아 제도바 오다 된데 인도자네 토마르 튜바 제바양 게와 바르도 삼바 제바 게와 타마르드네 gomba 제바 게와 오다 된데기 장신징게 되니 주의 송난 게 요래스
So another way to understand these three, of it being virtuous in the beginning, the middle, and the end, is with regard to the stages of the path, or the practices of study or listening, contemplation, and meditation. So it is virtuous in the beginning, in that it causes the full perfection or abundance of wisdom or qualities gained through the process of listening or study. It's virtuous in the middle, in that it becomes the cause to suppress the head of the coarse afflictive emotion. So it pacifies the afflictive emotions through contemplation. And then it is virtuous in the end, in that through meditation, then the afflictive emotions are uprooted, from the depths. They are completely purified from the depths through the process of meditation. And so in this way, it is virtuous in the beginning, middle, and end as it pertains to listening or study, contemplation, and meditation.
Oh yeah. 다테네마 된 상보 송도니 다음에 최탐제 동이 된 내루 됐던 거 유바인자 된 상보 테네베 산지기 송바 텐속에 치기든 소베 고데오 송게 유바인자 증조 상보 대난신도 산지기 송베게 송추 텐속에 지 추게 내루 찾아 친구 된게 유바인자 만제바 테네 산지기 추된 바 텔라 때네 소능게 초조야게 탑 이시기 초조야게 탑 송게 유바인자 용수 조바 테네 산지기 추송바 텔라 때네 녀몽베 데바 용수 파 다안도 유자 용수 타바 산지기 추송바 텔라 때네 시제 드바 용수 단주고 요자 용수 장와라 양타와라도 땜바 스타트는 산지기 송기 제출해.
So then, as it says, so it is good in the beginning, middle, and end. It has a good meaning. So it has good meaning is referring to the meaning of emptiness, or the ultimate meaning, or the ultimate truth of emptiness, and it has good meaning. It has good words, and being that the Buddha's words are clear and easy to understand. They're good, they're easy, clear and easy to understand, and they direct or they point to the true meaning of phenomena, or they show or reveal the true meaning of phenomena. And they are they are unalloyed, meaning that they are not this is what is referring to, that they show the true nature of phenomena, and they are complete, and that they also embody the completion or the perfection of the two accumulations. They gather the accumulation of wisdom and also merit, or they embody the perfection of the accumulation of merit and wisdom. And they are pure, and that they become the cause for the full purification of the afflictive emotions, and they are wholesome, and that they also likewise clear away the cognitive obscuration. So both these two are referring to the obscurations of afflictive emotions and the cognitive obscurations.
야. 다ተ네 디제 고조 되니도 더우슈는 주바 시자와 혼지 저발라 차와 제바 계획자와 제바 제와테마 뽑아토바 티바 침보라 양타버리 주바 인제 침보 좀 바시는 두버 주도스 다텐데기 갑라 테니 산지기 코르탄 존낭라 테니 더우슈는 세야티요레스 다 더우슈는 되지 베 제와 데자마인바 베 제와 후마 탄조라 산제 만부근 되나 테니 베 소는 그 자치모 사창게 테니 베 제와 나마탄조 양내 양데 땡켄 테니 추게 돌아베 뽑아 첨부 연켄 다 티바 첨부기 람 양타바라 슈denken 가두 얘네 힌지 첨부를 베 쩐denken 다 텐데기 장추스바 베 자 첨부시더니 요레스 데갑스.
And so then, as it goes on, it says, at that time within the gathered assembly, there was a youth named Chandraprabha who had honored the jinas in the past, had planted roots of merit, could remember his previous lives, had the confidence of speech, had correctly followed the Mahayana, and who is dedicated to great compassion. So here it is extolling the qualities of the youth Chandraprabha, who also in former lives attended many Buddhas in the past, and received teachings or Dharma in the presence of the Buddhas of the past, and took that Dharma to heart, who had great confidence or courage, had fully entered the practices of the Mahayana, or the path of the great vehicle, and always was endowed with great compassion. So Chandraprabha himself was also a very exalted bodhisattva.
아테네 대가서 다우슈는데 야라네 테네 산제근되나 마 빼모 살아 쭈네 땅에 저러나 저와가시진가 쉬안도스 테네가 디 저와티 제하게 고갑진가 나는 디기르베스야 저와티도 산제라 근데 산제게 다 저나 저와티야 요바티 디기르스 저나 가레 네바요나 저나 티쇼당 테네 저러나 베슴 가토야 저랑만에 네바침 도야게 되는 게 렌데 제바 taking in sondawa
so then it goes on to say that then the youth Chandraprabha rose from his seat, and went before the Buddha, and he made a request, or he put the request to the Buddha saying, basically, I have some questions that I would like to ask you. Is it okay if I ask these questions? And then the Buddha responded to him saying, you may ask whatever questions it is that you wish. Please go ahead and ask whatever it is that's in your heart, whatever is in your mind, and I hope to bring you delight. I will gratify you or bring delight you with whatever I can answer.
Tendu tene da wo junu chuwa tenen da logo chawa chi dusne pu mai bel hana tala juda june ka lo lo da manjir wa de june de de ge ju da ka june shiwa long tembe le de jumde de je da la kap chinan da june de yi shiwa da juma yin da wa zo ba sa de la chong ga ji shiwa de ge ji so ba june de ye da wo junu chuwa de ge ji ka de xin shiwa da juma yin da wa zo ba san junu chu ji da jin de ba ti xin da te wa de te dang te ni long tembe nge chu ji song na ma cha wo junu tam ji jin ba 담제 즈바 주요된 여자담 지바 심조다 제소도 바 드밤 맨날 더 계신 데에 요런 이제 제가 다 예만 많이 좀 이제 방 맞을 방 맞아 도 좀 맞을 방 좀더 맞을 방 우리도 와서 맞이 되지 뭐 이런 데 있어 봐. 용서 드베제 줄라다도 갑제 드버 대단 롱된 뱅에 추지 스물한 버려 제고 되는 데 대해서 갑지와 나도 이런 좀 수지도 세세에 대해서 서로와 직된 건보도 산제 문제 제대로 저의 섬제면 협의시도 편제 농양 된도서 매 준조만 당한 저바 시브르 된도 제대로 제바에 등조 당바 절매 동조인 건보 송조슈과 농대서 달라 요네마 제대라베 선배쇼와라 지고 당바 마도바다 경건 달 원메제마치스 다테네 산제기티 다우존을 트와트야 고갑 나와라 고갑 나용도 잔네더니 다우존을 기타 산제군도는 트와티 나와다 직제에 도와는 되는 막 직제 소용으로 와 저 가르치바레스나 산지 좀 되는데 저랑 되는 문에게 산지기 공방 톱 삼점의 집에 이시 된데다 줄을 니에도 와스 이시 비인도 장에 대 간제지는 예송 삼점의 집에 이시대 즉 냥내 간제지 제발할 때네 되는 산지기 이시의 톱송 비인도 장에 대가가 책송로나스 비난신도 되네 산제초랑기 되네 티버 첨부기 앞에 탈두기 대우 대 간지치는 톱송 가려되는 톱송 인도 내초랑을 저와돼야 돼 지금 내초랑은 고고르당하게 저와는데 강연면스 말아 생면하는 문에 저와인스 대모도 연 삼상관도 저완들의 용으로와 산제기 가세 하고근도 삼네 산제기 시랍데 가세도 같이 제시도 좋아지야 되는 용으로와 대마인바 알 문행이 지금 고고르다냐다 네 섬나는 산제처럼 지 자자 지고 삼백 삼나 싸워는 메스 확성이 돈이 주는다 좋았던 데 지금 요새 네 디고 마신도 요스 대슈도와야
So then what follows is that the youth Chandraprabha is given the opportunity to bring his queries to the Buddha, and so he poses his questions to the Buddha in the form of verse. So that's what we have here, which follows. It's all in verse, and he mainly is requesting the Buddha, saying, Bhagavan, you have reached the state of, full enlightenment or Buddhahood, and you possess inconceivably vast primordial wisdom. And so how did you find this wisdom? How did you arrive at that level of realization? What practice and dependence upon what practice did this awakening occur for you? And so he asks the Buddha essentially to explain, where it is that his realization and understanding has come from, and then he also asks, how does one reach the fruition the ultimate or final fruition of the great vehicle, the final blossoming of the fruition of the great vehicle. And he tells the Buddha, I am not posing these questions sort of to test or fool you or, out of some sort of insincere motive, but I am asking with sincere curiosity. I really want to know.
아드네 마드네 돈다 모는 자신 달한테 다게 줘봐 샤자 생기지 다네 측도 좀 말하지 마완도 봐 다른 뉴도 송스 나치단 가스나지 다오주는 게 나치단 측지부 나 땅킨데 맨스 나 돈 두번냠네 치야 조 가오윤게 되지 스테인도 전에 더 산지 출한 게 대우 토비아테 람 간데지라 되는 톱송 땡알에 인지민지 송로낭스 디난신도 드네 만조 드네 지 수tem대 간제진의 송고레스 썸데라 간제진의 냠을 샤고레스 드네 네 웬발라 간제진의 대고레스 드네 시럽된조 야 공부를 간제진의 땅고레스 디난신도 드네 남소 수tem 송야라베 섬라 가와 간제진의 제고레스 드네 간제진의 수tem 디쩨메바 차투레스 드네 간제체네 추 남지 랑신의 또투레스 디난신도 네 륜의 장마 간제치는 소고레스 나의 장마 간제치는 소고레스 이의 장마 간제치는 소고레스 어다 된대기 저거만 보지 지나와 임바다
And so then Chandraprabha continues saying, it is not just, the words that I'm interested in, but it is really the meaning, so that I can also then put this into practice myself. So how is it then that the fruition of Buddhahood is attained? How does one correctly follow the path? How does one perfectly or correctly uphold ethical discipline? How does one deepen or develop a meditative concentration? How is it that one should adhere or abide in solitary places, or how does one correctly stay in solitude? How does wisdom increase? How does one foster joy or delight in keeping or maintaining ethical discipline? And how does one avoid incurring faults in the purity of one's discipline? And how does one remain faultlessly or with faultless pure ethical discipline, purifying one's body, purifying with purity of body, purity of speech, and purity of mind?
and then Manajendra Jaja Dagi Juba Shaja singing Jendana Tila Tunze Malaji Mawandu Badala Nudo Sanjay Jiri Yonsu Chunam Chunam Gunjantajima Wampo Chimbo Desrotin Shira Nojim Messagita de Mata Sutum Pumbo Don Meji Mudam Jada Shedan the Motor Beniva Gujuba Jebra Chunam Dala Sudumo something Romajogumbala Shira Dagashan Bashal to you, then by Jason Surum so young and you Sudam watching and the Jira and the 그는 몸에서 이제 산지 신소원이 뉴질랜드 지다는 거 책이 좀 지다방원이 지다 쓰는 몸에 관지 진초시가 달롱돼서 되게 지소보다 좀 이제 더고 주는 주와는 되게 가지고 주는 신경 말씀하신 거 주기 되는데 다토만 일하는 마음에 좋아서 하는 것도 완전 원조로 주지고 강의는 주는 데가 신경 말씀하신 거 심지어 탐지가 쓰는 방에 펜베스도 컨트롤만 베스는데 만년 베스미 주는 신경 말씀하신 거 주지고는 되는데 이게 다토만 일하는 거 좋아서 하는 것도 완전 원조로 다 산지의 가르송 말씀은 저와 창만하더니 랜 도도 찍 나왔다 가르스나 장주 선바 추 찍던 덴바이나 근데 저런 라나메베 산지기 공판 레라오레스 추 찍부도 가르서나 추 담제 냠반이도 드네 사마바야 되다 개체쇼레스 심전 담제라 냠베게 셈 추 담제라 냠베게 셈 심전라 콩조메베게 셈 심전라 드네 셰다메베게 셈 심전라 차바메베게 셈 된대게 돈에 셈 냠바지 드네 제투송아이나 근데 산지기 공판 타는 뭐 차투 다른 말에서 된도 다른 양반 얘기 시주를 제고래 대송용요데
And so then the Buddha responds, really answering all of these questions with one concise answer and one sort of precise instruction, which is that a bodhisattva can be endowed with all of these exalted qualities, or all of the exalted qualities can be perfected or are contained within this one single aspect of evenness or equality. And so the equality of all, and perceiving the equality of all phenomena, and having equality or evenness in regard to all sentient beings, being without hatred or hostility towards sentient beings, being without attachment towards sentient beings, and remaining in this equal regard for all sentient beings. It is through the wisdom of equality that all of these aspects that Chandra Prabha is speaking to are fulfilled or are contained.
Yeah. 다들 좀 대인데 대세도 오지는 주발라 스스로제대 송바 추제 양다랑네 전도 강내바 연된데다 니도데 뉴도 자주 상저야 태양스는 강나이라메다 시담에다 주소는 선바가 다음에 시담에 받아 저버리 개죠 저버리 냠베스나 템바에 넘버면 바냐마저 경면들이 냠바다 초주 냠바니 주마냐마냐 선바 대베준다는 넘버네 테네 강나데 초대에서 다나도 chan주 선바 추주 항했나 산제생도 빠르다 후단 참 나한테 시외산에 더베서 산제쟁나 선제 멍벌고 주는 텔라 chan주 선바 심제 담제라 심용바당 펜버 선바다 심콘트로하면 심만야반 추든이나 냠바니 넘버 주면 땡도 토건 주로 단디 슈 이바게 드니마 이탕 나베 나다와 추담제게 란지 냠바니 넘버 주바 시제we 땡인진 써야 돼. 니 돼. 다 가르쳐 거에서는 든 다들 공도 송반한신 심제 담제라 되지 시당 매바당 심제 담제라 콩토와 매바 근데 심제 담제라 펜심제 양백의 심든지 공내 심 냠바니 제고래 송송 비제토바이나 산제 공방 레다고 토토레스 다들 간지진을 생각하잖아요. 간지진 산제 공방 토토그래서나 잠백의 심당 시당 매백의 심나 속에 돈에 심 냠바직 제토송아 이나 심제 담제라 근데 저런 게 줄라 근데 다단데 땡인쟁이 잘보도 되는 제토그래스 대인도 근데 땡인쟁이 잘보도 제송아이나 아 산제가 공방데 고 소소를 랑게 라발아 예바난신레스 대인도 자네 심 냠바텔라 때네 근데 단데 땡인쟁이 잘보도 토반 주로 쓰는 송바래
So then it says, young man, in that way, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, who has evenness of mind toward all beings, wishes to benefit them, and has no anger or partiality, will attain the Samadhi known as the revealed equality of the nature of all phenomena. And so, as was mentioned before, where the Buddha explains, or above, where he explains that, it is through not harboring hatred or resentment toward any sentient being, toward not having a mind of anger, but having a mind that wishes for the benefit of others, or a mind that wishes to benefit sentient beings, in having the quality of evenness, or the mind of equality. It is through this that then the state of awakening is attained, or Buddhahood is reached. And so so how is it, again, that the state of Buddhahood is reached? It is through the mind of love, the absence of ill will or hostility, anger towards all, and abiding in the the state of evenness, or regarding all with equality. And from this, then the king of samadhis, the king of meditative absorptions, is born or is arisen in the mind stream. And once that has occurred, once this king of samadhis has arisen in the mind stream, then Buddhahood is near. He said, it's like holding Buddhahood in your hand. It's very, very close.
야, 다들 되게 오트는 데서도 저는 추탐제게 란신 냠바니 넘버 2바시 제베 띵인전 강시나 스타탄징의 쉬인바 냠버 2바시 제베 띵인전이 잡고 세는전에 된다 숨자 담바 요래 쉬인바 띵인도다 담다 산제게 가서 말씀은 저는스 근데 추탐제게 란신 냠바니 넘버 2바세야 넘버 2바시 제베 띵인전데 간대지래서나 근데 땡인전데 내려지래 스탄드네만 데다테 손도와 류지 dom바다 나게 dom바다 다 던다데 류게 dom바 양타바 나게 dom바 용수 타바 이게 dom바 용수 타바 단데네만 라소바네 마이 슈 단단데 찍데 듬바나다다 슈 듬베기 데네 이탱 숨바기나라 저는 데네 추탐제게 란신 냠바니 넘버 2배 땡인진지 자오 세진도에 이탄 슈 듬바기 이탄 숨바기 나라 저는 데네 추탐제게 란신 냠바니 넘버 2배 땡인진지 자오 세지지
Dumba yiktinggatse?
이탄 숨바 저는 추탐제게 냠바니 넘버 2배 땡겐진지 자오 스타트 바르도 되네 된다 숨자요 되나다 슈 숨이지 나와 이 텐데게 된다 답조 숨자래 된다고 숨자대 되네 셰바당 양다바 또바 되라 되네 땡겐진지 자고 선라기요레스 페나 류지 domba 용수 타바 나게 domba 용수 타바 이게 domba 용수 타바 라소바네 되네지 Jimba Tongwalan Keba, Sutrum Songwalan Keba, Zoba Gombalan Keba Lasoba.
Gongda. Yangchar.
Lugi Domba Yonsu Taba, Nagi Domba Yonsu Taba, Yigi Domba Yonsu Taba, Lasoba Ne, Tanda Sumja Tamba Yurda. And ta Teda Yonsu Zoba Shebegida, Yeshi Tela, Tele Tengen Japos Lagures, that Tendu, Tene Simchen La Sim Yambegi Sim Jetu Sumayina. 해다고 땡인생이 잘못해 되는 거라서 줄에 제트고 요래 되는 테라 때네 다 산지가 고마 테마타도 prop도 요래 대신에 손받다
So in this way, then the Buddha explains or elaborates on how this equality, this meditative absorption, which is the revealed equality of the nature of all phenomena, or as was mentioned before, the total pacification or absence of elaboration, and how it is that this king of samadhis is achieved or is born in the mind stream. Then the Buddha goes on to explain in great detail up to, if you're following in the text, so it's folio 7a, and it is the several lines down in the margin, it says 1.61, where he says, young man, this is the samadhi called the revealed equality of the nature of all phenomena. So then up to this point, the Buddha is explaining mainly through three practices or three aspects of the practice, which are essentially perfect restraint of the body, perfect restraint of speech through speech, and perfect restraint of the mind, through three sort of types of vows or restraint, these practices of restraint. All of these this king of samadhis, this is how the king of samadhis is born in the mind stream, and it enumerates here the 300 different topics or the aspects of this king of Samadhi, and through which the perfect understanding arises. So primarily, also through these aspects of restraint of body, speech, and mind, and then through all of what the Buddha enumerates here, the perfect primordial wisdom, the meditative absorption that perceives the equality, the equality of all phenomena arises in the mind, the king of Samadhis, and then this becomes the direct cause of awakening or Buddhahood.
Oh yeah. Dede Lujidum Lujidumadanga, the Mada Yudumadale, the Mada Mipale, Yanda, Vandava, Boyon, Shiva, Namyambani, the Chivam, Che, Servatam, Seba, Poma, the Machiva, also the Chiva, Chupa, Joseph, legend, they were two of the Joint Wadan, Guadan, Shiva, Timba, the Sheriff Nova, Tempe, Jison, Judan, Shiva, and Soso Yanga, Poland, Juba, Shiva, and Yiga, the Yawash, the Shiva, Dayon Sojudan, but a Chujiga, what you don't know what the Yan Bada Show, and watch a Jimmy Bada, the Travel, and give us a song, the Chico, some of the Bada Jan, Jaman, the James of the see she was a J1, she was a Chuka, but so one of the Vago, never Madonna, San Ambrosio, Shiba, but she was over the Hong Kong, Gaba, Shipping, the Shawana, Juana, project, the one about. Cheburton drove the Gumijin to Matan Nipala, you want to keep out couldn't down never Palania Bonwa, Sevale, Young, the one with Java Matanam, Jan Abraham, and never choose some bottom to about the Yishinova, the Yishila, the body, she got some red over the Mugro, the Mayu, the Chilmo, was a number of Shiba, which you do, but the which you know about Juman, Juami, about Lava, you some other thing, and the number of Jubas, just so much about the Shiba, and she was against some Jewish Chimna, never so the one that comes along Burmagawa, some Juman, but you don't remember the missions and the Bachus, one legend number Chivandruala, Keva, Zube, Shivan, Jim, and Jeba, member Zuba, Meba, Zube, Zuba, Zeba, and Bayu, Jiban, Gibachina, what you said, the situation, Shiva, Shiva, you never Shiva, the Sunday, Juban, Soma, Junam, Ruba, Junam, Jiba, Junam, Ziba, Michael, Maki, Shiva, Bana, Children the Gavajavana, the English of the Megajava, Novashi, Shiva, Jivan, some Jewish, Shiva, 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 the Shiva, number of the one, Shiva, number one, Jovana Zevana, and Jovan, the Shiva, the Shiva, Niva, Shiva, Tuam, Batuba, Gavama, the one, Jivan, the Jivan, Jiburgawara Shiva, the Kajan, Shiva, some Nova, Jebe Salam, and other Jebe Salam, Sanjay Salam, Shiva, when you Sansan which man upon the pension to the boy was even wouldn't Sanjay Shivan, you know, the most time the one gem number Sanji, Sinji Lava, and the one coming, 누가 총원을 더 저는 내가는 요즘에 말만 주는 이만 땡인지 시제와 땡인지 자고 스타팅이 산적이 땡인지 자고 써야 되게 된다 숨자 담배 돈만 제시나인도 자네 대 책대 고와다 냠도 책 된대지 고와다 냠도 가르쳐 송화에서나 근데 디 콘나는 유백이 흘라담매 근데 따지와 흠말에 손은 거 초망고 사창게 되는 망고 유서와 근데 제와 차틱 차 자주 담바되는 매제 외출을 잡아 도송하래 사제바 도송한다 산제게 되는 땡인증이 잘보기 연대 땡인증 잘보기 되는 체취 되는 손용도 전에 흘라dem에 제와 자주기 매제 외출을 잡아 도 사제바 도송하래 근데 차틱 차 급주 자루기 지순 템베 잡아 도서 지순 템베 잡아 세한데 통남 도발 거고 요서래 사탕부 토바 근데 타틱타 급주 짜숨기 다이 지순장에 제바 토번 주로 세두자네 졸람 제바 토송아레스 오다 테네송발 테인드 땡인쟁게다 평현 되바 잠지 양 근데 베텐데게다 지선음 사 창견 등도 오다 제부 텐데 토송아레 송발에
And so then, following this, when the Buddha had taught on this king of Samadhi, enumerating these or explaining these 300 different points or topics, and the entire retinue who was present there having heard the words of the Buddha, then there were 80 times 100,000 million devas and humans who had previously generated the necessary karma. So they had, among the retinue, there were many there who had accumulated a great deal of merit in their former lives. And so therefore, just hearing the Buddha's words became the cause for them to attain the patience of the birthlessness of phenomena. So actually, then Khenchen explained that then through hearing this, they arrived at the eighth bhumi, or the eighth level of enlightenment. And then there were 96 times 100,000 million who attained the corresponding patience. So the Sajeba Dini Tonglam, who then that it was that number of the retinue present, who then attained the first bhumi, the first level of awakening or the path of seeing, and then 93 times 100,000 million who obtained the transmission of the teaching of that patience, and the entirety of the 100,000 bhikshus attained liberation of mind through the defilements not arising. So then there was that number of them who it has a Gautam song. So then, and then there was a certain number then that also just in hearing about it reached the path of joining. And so in this way, there were inconceivably great benefits merely for those present, merely upon hearing the qualities of Samadhi reach these levels of attainment.
아야 근데 되는마 개론 동도 상황 렘바 세발에 심 넘버 톨로 손다 니튜브 개론 된소 되는 니튜브 다짐be 또 송아레스 대나신도 하담 메이 제굴 소차 동차 주주 추남나 추지 드르메제 저마다 저거 토고 상원에 추기 된 양다 같은 또 송아인 바레스 되는 개론마 제트탐바 양절 좀 코와라 제와 렘바 메바 근데 배 녀몽발에 심 넘버 톨 송아레스 사발에 심 넘버 톨로 송도와 대나신 개념 텐데 납자 탐바기 더컴 라마 제와 렘고와 칠몽벤제고 도바주도스 대나신 개념 주동기 렌직 칠몽에 되는 제고 도바주 송아레 스타팅인데 간달 지 간사라랑 소소기 레당 혼음당 템베고네 되는지 송주인데 지 고와다 냠도 어떤 대원 부송소가 되는지 토송아레 스는 송바레
So actually then it was the bhikshus attained the liberation of mind through the defilements not arising. This is referring to then the bhikshus or those Shravakas reaching the level of liberation of Shravakas, and Pratyekya Buddhas likewise also reaching the level of Pratyekya Buddhas. And then 60 times 100,000 devas and human beings became free of desire without stains and gained the pure Dharma sight of the Dharmas. And 80,000 bhikshunis attained liberation of mind through the non-arising of defilements. 500 upasakas attained the result of non-returners. So there were the 500 lay practitioners who then reached the state of a non-returner, not to be reborn again in samsara. And 6,000 upasikas attained the result of once returners. This also.
다 대기하서 되는 동성고 동치 문제 된게 감대야 되는 배 넘버 2도 유소로다 사용자와다 등상 사용자는 계속 신하로와 다 대표 사용자는 다 잠보래 된도 사 넘버 2도 유소 2도 요와도 원에 송용도 배나 디다와 오드나 샤초 마나 늪초토 늪초 마나 샤초토 장초 마나 로초토 로초 마나 장초토 타 마나 우윤토 우윤 마나 타토스 두다와 델라트는 사 넘버 2도 유스기를 요단 되네 되게 과르드나 단단 디다와 유 잡도 유 군도 잡도 유서 숨숨다와 툴 구르 잡도 구르 군도 구르 덱 잡도 덱 군도 덱툭 잡도 툭 군도 잡도 툭 침침 잡도 침침 군도 잡도 침침 우구 잡도 우구 군도 잡도 우구 데스 되네 다 된소데 지단 거직 디가기 따지 된데게 간사 망보지 대운 부송 저거 톱송도 된데게 땅생한테 중앙에서야 다 대송바인 바래 텐두 위험한 탐도와 체내에 나wan지 된중은 지대지 버문나 마도 강인 받다면 나와데 싸워주도 심제 간다 될 집어서 지기지 시버주도 되게도 지 심제 전다전들 집어주도 신제데 나는 왜 심제 여러 친구 발행 대신으로 링실레도 담보 스타트인도 간다 땅생 된데 중앙에서는 다 되게 도마른 도땡인제 자고기 되는데 막 송용도 지도 링실이다 도마를 근데 지 중점로지
Lingjila.
링지에서 단 도딩진 제보데 담보 송양 고주윤도 전에 가르가르 중요래 속에 쉬와래 사자 가와 송바래 라소바 고송 레인들로 담보들 링지기로 세계래
Lasso. And so then it goes on then to say this universe of 1,000 million worlds shook in 6 ways. It trembled strongly, and it trembled intensely. It quivered strongly, and it quivered intensely. It shook strongly, and it shook intensely. It shuddered strongly, and it shuddered intensely. It quaked strongly, and it quaked intensely. The east sank and the west rose. The west sank and the east rose. The north sank and the south rose. The south sank and the north rose. The perimeter sank and the center rose. And the center sank and the perimeter rose. An immeasurable radiance shone in the universe so that whatever darkness there was between the worlds was illuminated by it. The beings who were born there could see each other, and they cried, "Ah, other beings have been born here too." This occurred even as far down as the great Avicii hell. And so these are all the signs, these incredible signs of, they came from the power of the words of the Buddha that then brought all of these different levels of beings to their corresponding levels of fruition. So it's the sign of all these levels of fruition being reached or attained for all these different classes of beings. And so then as it concludes here, this opening chapter, this introduction really sets is that which sets the setting or indicates the setting for the rest of the sutra, introducing the sutra, introducing the retinue and so on, and the place and all of these aspects which are described here. Mhm.
스타일은 되나 샤나로 어떻고.
So then that's where we will conclude for this evening, or
Very much.
whatever time you're in.
라서 땅은 데 모남데 줄로 로야 된다. 손남데 탐제 제바니 톰네 니베다나 방제데 제가 난제 발롱 초바이 세벤 졸렌 로완 로월 쇼인 조근 개와 진이 예바다 제다 진주르 대신 제바 Zambo Jujin Tende Sada La Gune Gunjan Zambo Rejurji Jambe Bawe Chedra Jamba Dang Kundu Zam Deyan Dejin De Tenda Kunji Jizu Dalu Jir Gewan Deda Tamje Rabdu Mo Tusum Shikbe Jarwa Tamje Je Mowa Kang Chodo Naba De Dajin Gewe Zavan De Kanjan Zambo Juje Ramdo Mowar Je Sanje Gosum Nipe Sinlaw Chuni Minjuru Dimbe Chenlaw Dang Gendun Mechin Dumbe Chenlaw Chedra Nguyjin Monam Drumbar Sho Gumba Namda Gadan Dumba Ye Manara Lamda Gewa Chidru 사준 공부한 제공 렌젠제 덴바 도진 윤ren 내주제
By this merit, may I achieve omniscience, and having defeated all enemies, the faults, may I liberate all beings
Thank
from
you.
the ocean of samsaric existence, and pounding in its pounding waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, by whatever virtue that exists in all beings, that has been created, will be created, and is being
Thank
created.
you very much.
We're not
We
doing.
will see us tomorrow at the same time again. Thank you.
라서 라서 되는 산이고는 제다
So see you all tomorrow then. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay. Mhm.